You're listening to the Courting Happiness podcast. This is a place where self-care becomes part of your day, a space where you learn evidence-based strategies to help your life, share it with those you love, and cultivate well-being at work. I'm your host, Dr. Kortni Alston. I'm a former news director, television reporter turned happiness scholar, TEDx speaker, and transformational trainer. I also understand hardships. While working my dream job in television, I lived a nightmare of suddenly becoming a young widow after 86 days of marriage. I became committed to learning more about resilience, healing, and happiness. This is how I discovered my area of research, which is positive psychology. Now I'm living my calling of training individuals and organizations on happiness, and my new chapter begins with being happily engaged. The Courting and Courting Happiness is about a true courtship, I like to say commitment, with happiness. The K in courting stands for the vulnerability of sharing my story, inspirational interviews with phenomenal people, the infusion of positive psychology, and so much more. You'll learn how to commit to your well-being one episode at a time. I hope you subscribe and share. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to episode 20, just days before Valentine's Day. It's so hard to believe. And I will tell you this, because of that, I'm inspired. I felt it was time for us to have a conversation about love, but not simply about the love we share with others, but the love we have for self-love. An important element of it, in terms of self-love, that is living intentionally. When we think of self-care, I always think of it in terms of self-love. And what it means for me is thinking about what can I do to focus on myself? What can I do today to put myself first, which can be very challenging, right? But part of that is living intentionally. Dr. Deborah Shabas shares this in an article she wrote for Psychology Today titled A 7-Step Prescription for Self-Love. You know, out of the 7, she lists one as live intentionally. And I love that she shared this, and I'm quoting her, Dr. Deborah. You will accept and love yourself more, whatever is happening in your life, when you live with purpose and design. Your purpose doesn't have to be crystal clear to you. Your purpose doesn't have to be crystal clear to you. I have to repeat that again. If your intention is to live a meaningful and healthy life, you will make decisions that support this intention and feel good about yourself when you succeed in this purpose. You will love yourself more if you see yourself accomplishing what you set out to do. You need to establish your living intentions to do this. Wow, end quote. She didn't end it with wow. I'm ending it with wow. But prior to do this, she end quote, she's sharing really so much impactful information. It deserves a major wow, because I love the statement because it truly speaks to the value of accepting yourself, but also understanding that your purpose, and really your purpose doesn't have to be, notice I said it twice in the quote, she only said it once, but does it have to be clear to you? Your purpose doesn't have to be clear. It made me think of this when I read her article and thinking about the part that in terms of living intentionally, I thought about when I was working as a news director for a public radio station in Baltimore. And I was also working on my MBA. And at that time, I will tell you, I felt so fulfilled in my work. And I felt so fulfilled in business school. It was challenging yet rewarding. And the interesting part of the story is that the decision to get my MBA actually took me about a decade of my life. Yes, I said it, a decade. For 10 years, I knew I wanted to continue my education and go to graduate school to, obtain my master's degree, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to focus on. And at that time of my life, I was working as a television reporter from city to city, working in different markets, different television stations, really working my way up the ranks as a journalist. And I would often think about going back to college and obtaining my master's degree. It was funny, even as a child, so many people would ask me, "So, what college are you going to?" I would quickly share with people as a kid, "I'm going to grad school. I'm going to grad school." So, I knew even as a child that I wanted to go to grad school. But although that was at the time when I was reporting, I was still at the beginning of my career, and it wasn't really clear in terms of what I wanted to get my degree in. But every step in that journey was teaching me something. It was showing me the way. And I also began to see myself and my interest differently. And later it would allow me to understand my goals. So this is an example to think about. So when I was reporting at one station, I was so excited. It was a market jump. It was a way for me to continue to again elevate myself in the market, or I'm sorry, in the industry. And so it's very common, by the way, when working as a journalist and in television, that you may start off at a small market and you work your way up to a larger market. And so I took on a position as a television reporter at a large market. So that wasn't something that was unique. But what was unique was the fact that it was not simply for me taking the job in this major market because it's a major market. I actually took on the job, also because it was a startup. It was a brand new station, and I love the idea of possibly seeing a station grow from the ground up, and I treasured being able to serve the community as a television reporter and sharing stories and information, and I also valued being able to be a part of a brand new station and be a part of the team helping to build and develop it and working with a team of journalists and producers and photographers and other members of the team. The list goes on in terms of various journalists and so forth, and management. So I really treasured that time and experience. And I will say to you is that, at one point of the journey, I really looked at that. I looked at, oh gosh, I'm enjoying learning this. I'm enjoying finding out more. I'm enjoying being a part of this startup and seeing some of the decisions that are being made and seeing what it looks like when you start a station, opposed to just going to work for a television station that's already up and running and it's been going on for decades and decades on end, and they already have this incredible legacy. And yet now I was a part of building that legacy, starting to create, starting those, the building of this station. So again, one point of my journey, I will tell you, I remember saying, okay, Kortni, you are a journalist. You want to go to grad school. It's clear you should just get a master's in journalism. Right? I'm like, that's pretty clear. And I will tell you that every step, every step of that journey taught me that I had a desire to learn more. And it was a desire to learn more about business and not and it was not just broadcasting. So I loved learning about broadcasting, but I found that I love learning about broadcasting and various forms of businesses in media, but businesses in general, all in terms of organizations and companies. And I was finding how much I was admiring entrepreneurship. We saw that, right, when I got very excited about the fact it was a startup, and being a part of that entrepreneurial journey with the people who uh, created the station and the broadcasting companies that partnered to build the station. So I was finding, I was like, wow, I really admire all of the elements and the dynamics of business. So when I spent time reflecting, I also thought about growing up with parents who are entrepreneurs and who were also growing their business. And I thought how influential that had been, because one of the reasons why as a child I would often say, well, I'm going to grad school. That was because I remember seeing my father going to grad school when I was a kid. And clearly that left an impression with me, right? So I then thought to myself about what my interests were in that reflection, what I valued. And I thought about the fact that I valued business, business, all elements of it, from broadcasting, yes, to print, yes. So mass media, yes, and all different companies. I treasured all different organizations, loved learning about, different companies within the dynamics of my time in business school. Just loved learning. I loved case studies. I loved every element of it. And I was able to have that level of fulfillment in regards to that journey because I feel of really honoring my path. So I honored the time I spent in my journey. If I made a decision to get my MBA, I say, gosh, it took 10 years. And then I say, yeah, it took 10 years because it was the right time. No matter what time, it was the right time. And it was the right time because it was my time. And for me, my time took 10 years. It was my own timeline, my own timeline. And I feel honoring the journey allowed me to have clarity. Because sometimes in life, what we can do is we can say, well, okay, let's have it, the decision, and let's make it now. Or, why is it taking me so long? Like, oh, I should know this already. But it's about valuing the process, and valuing the process is valuing the journey. So Dr. Wayne Dyer says, and I just always admired all of his teachings. And one of the things I admire about Dr. Dyer, and I share so much of it, I share his work in the classroom with communication students. And I really value his teachings as it relates to purpose, and his teachings as it relates to honoring your purpose. And Dr. Dyer says this. This is his quote. So I am quoting him right now. And quote, when you stay on purpose and refuse to be discouraged by fear, you align with the infinite self in which all possibilities exist. Wow. I'm going to say it one more time. When you stay on purpose and refuse to be discouraged by fear, you align with the infinite self in which all possibilities exist. It's really really impactful quote. And I hope that it speaks to you. And I hope this Valentine's Day, as you celebrate it with your love and your loved ones, I hope you remember to practice self love and the importance of living intentionally. And as Dr. Dyer says, align with the infinite self and stay on your purpose. I hope we can continue this conversation online. Let's do it. Join us on Instagram at Courting Happiness. Don't forget that's courting with a K. Also, you can join our private Facebook community, and you can join us under the name Courting Happiness Podcast Community. Once again, that's on Facebook. And our private community is a safe haven to share, meet more people looking to build positive relationships, focus on well-being, and create a happier life. Now, are you ready to spread happiness? I hope you subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, coworkers, and all the important people in your world. We release a new episode every Thursday. Congratulations on your continued commitment to your courting happiness journey. We want you to be well, be happier, and be kinder to yourself. We can't wait to see you next week.